Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today we're going to be doing an unboxing, first workout and first impressions of the new Anta 2 weightlifting shoes. So these are fresh on the market. I got these off of workout.eu, paid about like $360 USD for them. So they are definitely not a cheap model, but that's also including DHL and tax, etc. But overall, the Anta 2, I've been super stoked to try these. You also get an extra pair of laces with these. But why I've been excited to try them is because last year I uploaded my best weightlifting shoes roundup, or some of the best models on the market that you can currently get. But a lot of folks shit on me because I didn't include the Anta model. And the reason being is I couldn't find them in a size 10 at the time. So I have been hawking the internet for the Anta 2s because I have been wanting to try them after the high praise that the original Anta model received. And so do note, I haven't been able to try that shoe because of the lack of availability. So I do lack the contrast between comparing the two to the one. So I will not be the best guy for that if that is something you are interested in. But with the Anta 2, a couple of things that hit me right out of the gate with the shoe is that the sole construction actually really reminds me of what the ROM 4 had. So looking at the ROM 4 and just the overall shape of the forefoot and then back here through the midfoot and the heel, it is very similar, especially when you look at how this heel actually juts out a little bit to be more laterally supportive. And then up here in the forefoot, you have a little bit of the same structure as well. So I am curious how that will fare and how folks will like that with the Anta 2. It does look like you have more upper volume through the forefoot and the midfoot here, which I personally like. And the upper actually kind of reminds me of like what the ROM 2 had. So it's a little bit heavier in nature. It does have like that leathery build, that kind of like heavy duty feel to it. So I do like that. I also like that the boot comes up pretty high on this model. Another thing that workout.eu was talking about with this shoe on their product page is that this model is designed to give you more lateral support. So you have this rib texture here to give you more of like a lockdown feel to prevent any form of rollover with the foot. I'm curious to see how that translates. I personally like a little bit more support in my ankle and boot, so I'm stoked to try that out and test and see. And another thing that I'm noticing is this model does come out of the box pretty stiff, so I'm curious to see how fast they break in. Now, I do wish I had more contrast again to the original Anta model to see if this is a big change from that shoe, but the toe box does seem a little bit stiff out of the box. It does seem pretty rigid through the midfoot and the heel here. The effective heel height of this model is 25 millimeters. That is about 1 inch in height. So for some folks that might resonate really well with their overall mechanics when it comes to snatching, clean and jerking, squatting, whatever. And I personally do typically resonate with higher heel to toe drops or effective heel heights at that. So I'm stoked to try that out. Looking at the insole in this model, it is pretty rigid as well, so let me pull it out because it is pretty tough to get out with a higher boot. The insole in this model is designed to have like this multi-layer build to it. So as you can see, we actually have these multiple layers. So this is designed to be like kind of like a non-slip surface here. And then the insole itself is a little bit more flexible through the forefoot, but way more rigid through the midfoot and heel. Like I can't even bend that. So that's really interesting with this shoe. Stoked to test that out. But my workout today includes some light power clean doubles and some squats. So it's a good workout, I feel like, to start breaking this shoe in. Nothing too crazy, but I will see you guys for the post-workout breakdown. So we started out today's workout with 4 power clean doubles. We had 2 sets at 235 and then 2 sets at 245. Overall, pretty happy with how these moved. Going into today's workout, I was feeling pretty dang tired and sluggish because I was training at an earlier time than normal. So anytime I get out of cleans with not total garbage form when I'm feeling that tired, I'm always super stoked with. The Antas felt great. The outsole had adequate traction, and I like how stable and locked down you feel in them. Plus, despite running a little bit stiff out of the box, I didn't feel limited by the toe box at all. So I don't think the break-in period with this model is going to be super annoying. So I do like that overall with the toe box construction of the Anta 2 thus far. Then we headed into back squats. So we had a 4x5 at 365 pounds. With these sets, I knew they were going to be freaking tough, especially for that intensity, for that amount of volume. And so an important lesson that I was thinking about while training today that I think every lifter can implement for their own training and conceptualization of what they're doing is that when fatigue starts to set in with your training, don't expect reps to always look exactly identical. And so what I mean by that is that the idea that every rep should look the same, I think can be a little bit limiting because when fatigue sets in, your body will start to self-organize a little bit differently based on the task demand. So when you're doing high output work and you start to get a little bit more fatigued, it's normal to see the body start to self-organize in a slightly different way than when you're completely fresh. So instead of thinking about every rep should look the same, I think a more productive approach is every rep should exist within a range. So essentially, as fatigue starts to set in, how much deviation from your normal rep mechanics can you allow to still produce a nice high output without losing a ton of energy or putting yourself into a shitty situation? So basically, as I start to get more tired with these, you'll start to see my torso come a little bit more forward. However, that amount of deviation isn't necessarily taking away from my overall mechanics and my overall performance. And if it was taking away to a point where I was like losing my balance forward or coming so far forward that I was having to grind through reps, then that would be an indication of, okay, maybe I should scale back the intensity because that deviation is exceeding what I'm capable of in this moment. So just a little bit of a thought that I had during my training session. Hopefully you can apply that to your work. After that, we ran 2.5 miles. We did 800 meters and 400 meters. I know this is not an Anta-related part of training, but I wanted to highlight what else I was doing. Then we capped off with some rear foot elevated split squats. These were absolute death. I was dying throughout these, hence the lighter weight there. Then we finished off with some cyclist squats. These just torch my VMOs, but I know this is not related to the Anta shoe. I just wanted to highlight what I did during the day because these hybrid days are fun, but dang, they can be rough. I'm absolutely cooked. If I'm slurring my words in this post-workout breakdown, I'm not drunk, I'm just tired. These hybrid days kick the crap out of me. So 3 initial thoughts that I have with the Anta 2 weightlifting shoes is number 1, despite arriving out of the box and being a little stiff, like even right now breaking in with the hands, honestly, they didn't feel that stiff when physically wearing them. So I'm not sure the break-in period is going to be super long with this model. I would say probably like 1 or 2 weeks of some good sessions. So if you're training 3 or 4 times a week and you're wearing these for whether it be weightlifting or squats or even accessory movements, these should, I think, break in at a relatively quickish rate. Like 1 to 2 weeks is what I'm guessing now. Number 2 is I really like the heavier construction of these. So they are definitely a heavier model. For my size 10 model here, let's actually pull up the weight really fast. We have a weight of 22.75 ounces. So these are definitely a heavier weightlifting shoe, but I see that as a good thing for folks who do like that heavier build on their shoes. Plus, with the lateral support in the shoe, I felt like this model really locked me down when I was squatting and when I was cleaning. So I like the heavier construction. Now, I'm not sure that's going to resonate with everybody, but if you do like a heavier build with your weightlifting shoes, then I do think you'll like that about this. The heavier strap construction too gives you a nice level of security. So across the board, I do like the heavier-ish construction that you get with this model and how that plays into training. My third first impression with this shoe is despite it having somewhat of a similar sole construction to the Nike Romaleos 4, I felt like I had a little bit more room in this model through the toe box. So with that upper volume space you get in the shoe, I think it will work for most foot anatomies, to be honest. Like, it's not the widest model on the market, but I do think it has a bit more width. And with this upper volume, I do think it will work for a lot of foot anatomies who have like narrow or neutral width feet. Now, if you have super wide feet, this may not be the shoe for you, but I think for most, once again, foot anatomies, this model should work fine. Honestly, they fit pretty true. I went true to size with the size 10. This model fit true, had plenty of room, and I was even wearing thicker socks today, thicker than I normally wear. I had no thin no-show socks clean, so I had to rock some thicker socks today, and I honestly like the fit. And something to note is, like, despite the heel being a little higher, I didn't have any friction issues here, and my socks weren't even covering my ankles, so I don't think that should be a concern for most folks. So if you're looking at the boot and you're like, holy crap, that comes up high, I don't know if it's gonna be an issue for a lot of folks. With the padded counter back here and how it kind of like flares out and it has a little bit of give, I don't think it's gonna rub a ton, so food for thought there. But overall, the Anta 2 weightlifting shoe, pretty dang solid. I've enjoyed this shoe. I'm super stoked that I'm able to put these to the test now because I was always a little bit sad that I didn't have the original Anta model, so I'm stoked to continue to lift in these, and I will have an updated review for you in the near future. Again, I am not a dedicated weightlifting athlete. I'm a strength athlete that does a lot of hybrid style training, and I integrate in weightlifting shoes for accessories, squats, and for my cleans. So if you are looking for somebody who's a little bit more dedicated to your trade, I might not be your best bet. But if you do have any questions on this model in the meantime, drop a comment down below and I'll help you out accordingly. These are definitely a little bit of a pricier shoe, so definitely ask questions if you got them, if you're thinking about investing in them. But I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Drop a like on the video. Peace.